Olá a todos. Hello, everybody. How are you? I can see there are a few people online already. So if you are there, please say hello. We have the chat box where you can talk to me. Hi, Rosa. Hello, Valdomiro. Very nice to see you here, Maria Lúcia. Very glad to see so many people here today. Leticia, thank you all for coming. I hope you are all well this afternoon. Hi, Adília from São José do Rio Preto. Oh, how lovely, how lovely. I think there are people from lots of different places in Brazil. I would like to explain to you that I am not in Brazil. I live in Portugal. So that's why it's all dark here. It's already evening, unfortunately. Summertime is over. São Paulo, Piracicaba, very, very nice. So lots of people. And you know, the sun has already set here today, and it's 7 p.m. for us here today. So it's very nice to from Panama. We are very international. Amazing. Thank you so much. That's really, really nice to see so many people here today to talk about a topic that is very, very dear to me. It's something that really encourages me every day to try and make a difference in my teaching practice, and also while I work preparing materials. I work at Troika, so we develop materials at Troika, and this is something that I try to always keep in mind, and that kind of guides my practice, my work, and the materials I produce. So I hope you enjoy this session. I count on your participation. It's really a pity you can't participate live, but we are going to exchange a lot on the chat box, but also for the second part of the webinar, I have a Google Doc for us to feed, to add ideas to it together. So we'll also be sharing some ideas there. So I'm going to give you the plan for today's session. You have the title on screen, Thinking Routines to Foster 21st Century Skills, a few practical tips. It's a few reflections on my side, but also some tips of what I do and what I believe in, what I believe we should bear in mind while planning and teaching our classes and our students. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to why I decided to approach this topic. We're going then to talk about skills and routines, and then how we can foster skills through routines. Sounds a bit obvious, but I don't think we bear that in mind as much as we should. I don't think it might be so obvious that we end up forgetting it, maybe, but you'll tell me later how you feel about that, okay? So we are going to start and then we will finish with you telling telling each other what are the takeaways from today's session. So what are the things that caught your attention, or things that you might implement that might help you in the future, okay? I'd like to, on behalf of Troika, I'd like to thank Disal, thank Lyrica for this invitation, for being here. It's very important for us. It's very rewarding for us to be invited to these events and to have a chance to share our passions, our ideas, and our work. Okay, so a big, big thank you to Disal and the whole team. And obviously a big thank you for all of you from so many different places. I can't keep track anymore. We have Florianópolis, Belo Horizonte, Bolivia. Oh my God. Thank you. I'm very, very happy. So we are going to start with a brief introduction, right? So it's like the tip of the iceberg. So to say, I didn't find a very good image of an iceberg, but we then have a tip of a pyramid. Not the same, but so when I think about my all the years I spent teaching, and there were many years, I sometimes think about the most surprising things students have told me, things that they have learned that weren't at all related to the English language. Because I've always been an English teacher, and most of the time we were in the classroom, we were teaching language. We were maybe discussing other issues, talking about different topics, but I was teaching English. That's what we do, right? But then I'd like to know from you, have your students ever told you something that surprised you in terms of, oh, I learned how to, or I learned something that was not English from you? Do you have any memories of this? Maybe you can type in the chat box if you have any memories like that. I remember while you kind of go over your memories and try to find something, I remember a student who once told me, a young student, it was a young learners group, I don't remember, junior something, they were like 8 or 9. And then he went like, I don't remember what the game was, but it was like a common game. I don't know if it was Hangman or something like that. And this boy, he was like, I can't believe it. He said it in Portuguese, I confess, but it was the situation that mattered. And he was like, I can't believe it. I finally understand the rules of this game. It was a common game for children, but he had never really fully understood how it worked. And I was like, for me, this was a surprising thing. Sandra has said attitudes, that's very interesting. So how to behave, how to act towards different situations. That's what you mean, maybe? And I have something I learned from my English lessons when I was a student quite a while ago, studying for those exams, right? Cambridge exams. And I remember that training for the argumentative essay was something that, changed the way I saw writing, the way I saw debates in general, practicing arguments for, arguments against, which is not directly the language we're learning, but we're learning a way of thinking, a way of organizing ideas in our minds, right? So this was something that I learned from my English lessons, from my English teachers, that stayed with me for a very long time. And I think, the point I want to make here is that when we are teaching English, we teach much more than English, right? We are not just English teachers, we are educators. And nowadays, education is full of buzzwords. We have a lot of these modern and popular concepts and ideas, such as we have two in the title of this session. So we have thinking routines and 21st century skills. So two buzz concepts in our title. We have here someone, Isabel, mentioning stereotypes. That's interesting. I would like to understand what you mean. Students learn stereotypes from the English lesson. I have learned how to try to be perfect with my first English teacher in my life. Wow, that's interesting. So you had that image that your English teacher was perfect and you wanted to be like him or her. That's very, very interesting. I had this kind of admiration and respect for my English teachers as well. I share this feeling too. Um, so what I think I want to go over with you here today is how we got from learning skills to these 21st century skills, these um, specific and detailed skills, and then look at the how we can use these thinking routines, which I am totally obsessed with. I think they are really amazing. I'm going to give you a few examples that I use thinking routines not only in my um, professional life, but also in my personal life, family life, and or I really think they are quite amazing. And then we will discuss how we can join them, how can we combine them so as to help our students become more independent and better prepared for life. I think this is the idea that what we do every day, so the things we practice, our routines, they make us who we are. We have that old saying like practice makes perfect, and excellence is not like a gift, but it is a habit. So you kind of practice enough and you get results for that, right? So it sounds a little bit like a coaching, change your mindset, but it's not exactly that. We'll get to the point in just a bit. Another important aspect I wanted to mention is that I feel thinking routines provide students with is the idea, the sensation, and it's not just the idea or the sensation, it's the real thing that they are uh, crucial, essential players in the learning process, in the learning experience, that they have a say, that they can change things. And I think through thinking routines, we can help students realize that they play this role and that they are active in making decisions in their learning experience. And then if we think about the learning experience, we can touch on another buzz concept, which is user experience. And the other day I was reading an article about a teacher written by a former teacher who used to teach and was very frustrated with the teaching career. And she decided to give it up, and she decided to at some point, I don't know if it was an immediate change, but she became designer, and she works with user experience, UX design, right? And she says that studying UX design changed her view of the classroom completely, and that if she and that now she talks to teachers, she tries to uh, teach teachers how to make their students experience in class more interesting. So I thought this was an interesting shift from someone who was a frustrated teacher to maybe understand that she expected students to be serious and to take her lessons seriously and to always do their homework and arrive on time. And, she was just worried about the commitment, but not about the experience, how the students were feeling in class. And I think, this makes a difference in our lives. Okay, so just before, okay, so the stereotypes. So just before we move on, I'll take a look at the chat box again. They break their concepts. Yes, definitely. About other cultures. It's mind-opening sometimes, right? The English lesson is something that breaks barriers and opens up students' mind. I totally agree. And the teacher you admired, she was such a nice lady. Oh, yeah. I I know I do hope, our students also remember us. Some of them, nobody is unanimous, but I do hope that some students have this nice memory of, she was such a nice lady. This is comforting for all teachers to read that, some of us will be remembered like that. Hmm. Okay, so this was a not so brief, but from my point of view, important introduction. And now we are going to talk a little bit about skills. And I have to confess that I don't know, maybe until those books on emotional intelligence started coming out, and people started talking about, um, different types of skills. I had this narrow-minded view that a skill was something physical or related to very concrete things, so if I think about skills in general, so like a skilled artist, someone who can sing well or paint well, or an athlete, or someone who's very strong, or who can, you know make very delicate things or cook very well. And if we go to the ELT world, we talk about the four skills, and for me it was something very concrete. But when we started talking about, the first thing I remember in this area was emotional intelligence. And I studied journalism, and I was at university once, and we were talking about relationships, and the professor said, I am very sure that we all learned how to date, how to have relationships from soap operas and films. It's not something that that is, really personal, a personal decision. It's what we learn from these media and things like that. And I started understanding or thinking that, there were processes in our brains that were not natural, not given, so when you are that there are things that you can control in a way. So I was starting to understand and consider these ideas. And and then we started discussing at some point these 21st century skills. I believe you have all heard of them, um, but if not, we're going to go over them very quickly here now. There are 12 basic 21st century skills. They are divided into three main groups. I don't know if you guys will remember any of them. Maybe you can write. There are four which are the most famous for learning and innovation. Does anybody remember them? The 21st century skills. We have very popular ones that are critical thinking, related to problem solving. We have creativity, we have innovation, and we have the digital literacy skills, or literacy skills, which are related to information literacy, media literacy, and technology literacy, so communication and information technology, the ICTs. And we have competencies, skills related to the career and work environment, but also considered life skills, right? We have the flexibility, initiative, social skills, productivity, accountability, and so on. So they are divided into these three main groups, right? The learning skills, basically, learning and innovation skills, the literacy skills, and these social and work related skills or life skills. And these competencies, these skills, they are supposed to help us deal with the world in a more practical way, in a more effective way, in an easier way, maybe. So some of the definitions you find online for 21st century skills, they sound a little bit like the coaching discourse, the coaching posts we see on social media, these ideas of change your mindset and adopt these ideas and everything's going to be okay. I personally don't really believe that it works this way, but I believe that having these abstract skills in mind as possible things to develop with our students, and I would like you to focus on the with and not in our students, because I do believe that we develop these skills together with them, and we have a lot to learn from them as well. So I believe that developing these skills is something that can happen in the English classroom, in every classroom, but here we are in this English teaching realm in our backyards, right? And I think it's something we should foster in our classes. We should be attentive. We should be aware of developing these skills with our students. And my suggestion of one possibility how we can do that is using routines. And then we move on to the next part of our talk, which is about routines. And I don't know how many of you here today are parents, but I have an 11-year-old daughter. And when before she was born or when she was very little, a lot of people, the pediatrician and other specialists told me that routine was very important for a baby. Routine for a child. Routine is very important. And I believe routine is important for everybody, even if it is so that you can sometimes break the routine and feel like you're having a break. Because if you have no routine, maybe you don't feel like you're having a break. But the importance of routines in every aspect of our lives are they give us this feeling of safety, right? This idea that because we know what's going to happen, we don't feel so anxious all the time. So the routine gives us this security. So I am quite a fan of routines in not only in the upbringing of my child, but also in my career, in my professional life. And when I discovered the thinking routines, and now I'd like you to tell me, you can use the emojis if you are familiar with the thinking routines developed by the graduate school or from Harvard, this thinking routines. Are you familiar with the Project Zero thinking routines? I have maybe I can show you this web page if you are not familiar. Project Zero, yes, Sandra, thank you. I'm just briefly going to show this to you. Let me see if I have learned it correctly, how to share my screen. Wait a minute, 1 second. Yes, here. Can you see this or is it too small? Can you see that? This is Project Zero, the Thinking Routine Toolbox. You have different types of thinking categories. You can see, oh, that's great. Thank you, Sandra. And I can send you the link, but if you Google Thinking Routines, Project Zero, you're going to find these routines, and they are also divided into different areas, but they are very, some of them are quite, I forgot the word now, but quite intuitive. Some of them are quite intuitive. So you have a very common thinking routine that is think, pair, share. I don't know if you've heard of this one. It's one that's, so let me just go back to our, oh, where is the, here. The think, pair, share routine is a very basic, we can say that, very simple, maybe basic is not the correct word, a very simple routine, which means that you're going to propose a question, a topic for reflection, discussion. Oh, thank you, Sandra. Sandra has posted the website for you. Thank you. And then you tell your students that they're going to have a couple of minutes to think about that individually. And this is something that I don't believe, or I didn't used to do in my classes, and I don't really believe a lot of teachers tend to do, because we have that feeling that if there is silence and people are not reading or writing, nothing is happening in our classes. And this routine taught me that a lot is happening, which is students are purposely thinking about something, reflecting. They will have to say something about that in a couple of minutes, but you are giving them the time to think about that. And this, for me, makes a lot of difference. And after they have had those minutes to consider that question, problem, topic, anything you propose to them, they will pair, they will get together with one partner and share their views before they go into the whole group discussion, for example. So here we have a set of steps, quite simple steps, but by doing this as a routine, as a habit, you teach your students a lot of different things that are not related to the English language, right? We teach them the importance of analyzing things. We teach them that we can first share our ideas, try our ideas out in a smaller, safer environment, so in a pair, before we go to the whole group moment where you are going to explain, expose your ideas. Maybe they are more refined because you have had a chance to share with your partner, and maybe in this exchange you added, or you decided to omit, you changed your mind about something. So Think, Pair, Share is a simple but very effective thinking routine that can be used in a lot of different situations in the English classroom. Would you agree, disagree? How do you feel? I feel very I am a very talkative person normally, but it's kind of difficult. I can't see your faces, and I don't know how you were reacting. There is a smiley face, but I love when someone's typing. So I'm gonna drink a sip of water, and maybe you can give me a thumbs up if it makes sense, if you agree or disagree, and type something. Okay. Mm. It's important having some time to think prior to giving an opinion. And in general, in our classrooms, we ask a question and we expect an immediate response or almost immediate response. I used to be like that, really, I confess. And I think that's why I say that with the thinking routines, we can learn with our students. I really I'm going to go over a few different routines from the website. You are going to see there are lots of routines. I selected 10. I'm not sure I'm going to have time to go over 10, but maybe 7 or 8. Or, we can do it a bit faster. But my suggestion for you is visit the website later and there are loads of different thinking routines. Browse them and find the ones that make sense to you, that you will feel comfortable using. We have here a Greek classroom environment is perfect to make students and teachers think and share opinions. Definitely, yes, Isabel. In our society, we are willing to be the first ones to answer, and we have no time to reflect about what is happening. That is so true. And we are expected to have things to say about anything, right? About everything. So this is, and we feel that expectation from people towards us, but I think we do the same with our students. We also expect students to reply shallow opinions most of the time. I agree, Isabel. And Tiago says, I personally agree with what was stated so far. It's a significant shift of seeing what teaching is. Yes, yes, we hope so. I believe there are teachers doing and working with students towards this collaborative learning process in which, we all work together to make the experience profitable and enjoyable for everybody. But I am a big fan of the thinking routines, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about some of them that I particularly like and that you might find interesting as well. So the next routine I'm going to mention is I used to think, pum, 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 pum. Now I think, pum, 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 pum. And it's a very simple routine again. You know, usually at the beginning of a unit, for example, you're going to discuss the environment, new theme. Everybody's tired of talking about the environment, I know. But, it's a very common and recurrent theme in course books. So maybe at the beginning of the unit, students have one idea and you can, at the end of the unit, use this routine. I used to think, and now after all we have studied, discussed, and learned, now I think differently, or maybe not. Maybe my ideas haven't changed, but the the focus of this routine is not about being right or wrong, but it is about the possibilities that open up when we get more information, when we research, when we try to find different sources, and that may change the way we see something, right? So I forgot to say something. So I'm going to talk about a few different routines that I particularly like, that I find interesting. But I'm going to, in a bit, we are going to go to the Google Doc together. So I will invite you to join me in a Google Doc, and we will try to match situations that are common in the English classroom, so topics for discussion or things you have to do in the classroom, so a writing task or teaching models. One of the examples I wrote, I think, was models for deduction. And we are going to try and think which thinking routine we could adapt there, and what skill are we fostering by using this routine. Okay, so that's why when I talk about the routines, you can start having some ideas, because I'm going to ask you to have ideas for the topics, so how we can maybe connect these things in the classroom. That's the moment where we can link and connect the dots, so to say. So we talked about think, pair, share, one routine. I've just mentioned, I used to think, now I think. We have one routine that I really like, for maybe not so broad. You can't use it with everything, like maybe think, pair, share, but which is quite interesting for students as well, and I would say teenagers, maybe especially, which is see, think, me, we. So we have this idea of seeing something, so recognizing something for what it is, see. Then we have the idea of thinking, so analyzing, considering, trying to see that from different points of view or perspectives. And then you start making connections, first with me. So what does this idea, problem, situation has to do with me? And then you change the perspective to we. See, think, me, we. So I'm not the only one that matters. I need to think of how this action, idea, or situation will impact others in my family, in my community, in my city, in my country, right? So you can expand as appropriate. So obviously all the routines are adaptable to different realities, to different situations. But I also think that this this moment of being guided towards the reflection that moves from the perspective of the self to the perspective of others around you is an interesting and rich experience for students. Another routine I really, really like is name, describe, act. Name, describe, act. And I can't tell you what I like this routine for, because I would like you to come up with this connection yourselves. But it's a very common thing we do in class with students, and they usually complain that they don't know how to do it. It's very challenging. But in this routine, you first name, so you identify some things. So if it is a situation, an experience, maybe an image. You can start with an image. So you're going to name, to identify a few things, and that means carefully observing something, right? It's again this moment of, let's stop and think, stop and analyze, and look at something in detail. After that, in the second stage, these items that you have named, that you have identified in the first stage, you are going to describe. You're going to find a way to describe what it means and how it happened, what happened, how you felt. So depending on what it is, you're going to have, but you have to develop that idea, right? And last but not least, you act. So you do something about that. And then depending on the task, again, it can be lots of different things. We are kind of running out of time for this stage, so I'm going to go to, we have circle of viewpoints is another routine that I really like. Circle of viewpoints is providing students with the opportunity of wearing different shoes in the same situation, so to say. So you have one situation, but they change positions and will like play different roles so that they can analyze the different perspectives each player has in that situation. So if you think about I don't know, a trial, so you have the accused, you have the witness, you have the judge, you have the lawyers. So you can play, they can change positions and see how each person feels and the different arguments they might have. Yeah, maybe the trial example is not a very good one for the classroom, but you can have different situations that it's because I used to play trial in one of my advanced groups, and I really liked this activity, but it's not one that is easy to implement in basic groups, for example, right? Another one we have is facts or fiction, which is related to the information, media literacy skills we talked about. So do you accept information at face value? How can you question information? What are the resources you have? It's like learning how to analyze information and what aspects of how the information is presented, for example, can help you decide whether it is, trustable or not. And the last one I'm going to mention before we have 10 minutes to visit our Google Doc is what makes you say that? What makes you say that? It's a question, is a thinking routine. And it invites you to debate, to talk about one specific topic. And first, you decide how you feel. So I am in favor of I don't know, protecting this area because there are lots of rare birds living here, so we shouldn't build anything. So this is what I believe. We shouldn't build anything in this area. It should be a park, a conservation park. I'm going to give you the Google Docs link in a bit. Okay, let's just finish this and we will all go there together. And then from your own point of view, what you decided you believe in, you question yourself. What makes you say that? And then you have to kind of justify, you have to find the arguments to justify your claim, right? There is another routine that is claim support question, which is very good as well. But what makes you say that is a routine that I use in my personal life as well. So you are having domestic, which is the English word for having a DR, how do you say in Portuguese? Discutir a relação. So you're having a domestic, and the person says something. But you never wash the dishes, and you say, what makes you say that? And then they have to kind of prove, why they are saying that. But it's I use it with my daughter as well when she complains about the things I do, and I want to have examples. So let's see, how often does that happen? What makes you say that? And so on and so forth. But it's good to use with us, to I believe something, but what makes me say that? Why do I believe that? Is there enough evidence to corroborate my belief? So that's basically the idea. So we are now going to visit the Google Doc, and you can click on the, it's not here. Wait a minute. I'm going to do it very quickly, guys. You just have to click on the button and one second. Click here and, oh yes, it's here. Okay, now it's there again. See if you click on Let's Share. When you click on Let's Share, fostering skills through routine, when you click on Let's Share, you're going to be visiting a Google Doc. And I suggested 3 topics: fake news, models for deduction, and a writing task. And then the idea is, what 21st century skill can we develop in this task, with this theme, and which thinking routine we could use to do that? So maybe you can have some ideas. I know it was a very short, very brief introduction to thinking routines, but I wanted us to have this moment of trying to make these connections, linking the dots so that we could share ideas, because this is something that, whenever you are preparing a lesson, so we are going to discuss food and drink. What thinking routine could we use here? And what 21st century skill can I foster by using a thinking routine to discuss food and drink? It's possible, right? So I can see people are typing, fake news, critical thinking is really amazing. And what routine would we use? Yes, there might be different. Very good. Very, very good. The routine I said, I always use for one particular task. Students are not very very keen on doing, most students, was for a writing task. Do you remember what the routine was? Maybe. Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. Debate. Yes, very nice. So my suggestion, since we don't have a lot of time left, yes. My suggestion for the writing task would be the routine, which is called Name, Describe, and Act. I feel that whenever students are having trouble with writing, this routine of name, describe, and act is very, very interesting. It helps them a lot to identify what they can write about. So it could be, as we said, an image, it could be a question, it could be an argumentative essay like pros and cons. You have to first identify, to name what you're going to address. And then if you start describing those things as an exercise, right? As you know, it's not like writing happens marvelously, spontaneously to everybody, right? So this habit of creating the steps to help students reach that moment is really, I think, quite interesting. And then we would be in the how to choose moment. I forgot to change the slide. I'm very sorry. That's the one that is easier for them to work on. Yes, I agree. Most of the routines put into practice. Yes, yes, Bloom's taxonomy, another buzz concept. We start by more passive actions, understand, see, and go forward to active actions. Definitely. Makes a lot of sense. And I believe, all these theories and resources are they are connected because all these things are being studied in this at this point in time. So I really think that our repertoire nowadays is based on a lot of common ground from these theories and techniques and strategies developed by these people. Nobody suggested anything for models for deduction. That's interesting. We could start in a very, very simple way with think, pair, share, right? You can, for example, show an image and it's hard. And then give them time to think, and then a few prompts. What you think it could be, it might be, so they can think, and then they can pair, and they can share. And we could be fostering, for example, information literacy skills, right? We could be fostering that by having students analyze a headline or an image or something like that from this perspective. Oh, good afternoon from Rio. I miss Rio, my home. Miss that. But it's probably very hot, right, in Rio, as so I have heard in the recent days. So we have games, conversations, yes, must current theme, prediction on troubled themes. Oh, creating stories, and I love this. I love this. I love fostering storytelling among students, and I think the thinking routines are really, really amazing for fostering storytelling. We are really running out of time. I'm very sorry, but my suggestion is we can keep on feeding this document. It can be there for us. I'm not going to close it. So I can add a few things actually to it, a few things that combine well. So the theme or topic, what skill we could develop, and the suggested thinking routine. And we can, over the next week or so, feed in ideas, and then whenever we need an idea, if we're preparing a lesson and oh my god, I don't know what to do, maybe you can come here or to the original websites. I'm going to write to add the link here to Project Zero, okay? And maybe a list and also a list of the 21st century skills. So you have everything together on this document that you can access whenever you like. You can make a copy, download it. It's up to you how you're going to use it, but I promise to feed in a couple of extra lines with suggestions of topics, skills to be developed, and the thinking routine that I believe works well with it. You can find other thinking routines that you like. But before we finish, I'd like to invite you to tell me if, this very short time we had has been profitable. What are the takeaways that you are going to try and remember, to try and use in the next few weeks before you go on holidays? Amazing. It's the end of the year. It's the last webinar from Disal this year, so I'm very honored to be here. But if you could share maybe through the chat box, what are your takeaways from today's session? I would be very pleased to know how you perceived it and what you will be implementing or using or considering. I thank you. You're very kind. Thank you. Great, Isabel. That's good to hear. I hope you have you can find some time to take a look at the routines. There are loads of them, but maybe pick one or two that you find you can start with, because I think this is the thing. If you haven't used them, give it a try. Maybe you can incorporate a few of them into your routine. Sandra, thank you so much. Oh, thank you. In life, yes, I totally believe that when we teach our students, you know, how to think, how they can analyze things, how they can break things down into parts. There is the parts and complexities routine. We are also teaching them how to deal with life, with different aspects of life, not only language learning or the working career professional world as it sometimes sounds, but it's not a solution for all your problems, but it's maybe a better way to deal with some of your problems that you are going to find in a way, right? Ah, that's great, Thiago. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, giving protagonism to your students. It's really important to make them feel they are also in charge and they can make changes and they can, make decisions and like be the masters of their own experience in a way, right? Very, very good. I'm very happy. Yes, making thought visible. Lovely way to say it, Sandra. Really, really cool. Oh, yes, Maria Lucia, thank you. That's great. I'm very thankful. I'd like to thank Giselle once more, thank Troika. And here is my email and Troika's website. I am very happy to be here, very thankful. It's great to share with teachers, and I hope I can come again next year and share some other ideas with you. And I think you will get, I think this is being recorded and it will be available later, but someone from Disal um, can confirm that probably, right? But I think so. And I think you're going to get your certificates as well in on next week, participation certificates, right? Yes, we always have to go deeper into things. And I also feel that ever since I got to know the thinking routines, I told you I am a bit obsessed with it, but there is still so much to learn and to research. So the important thing is let's get started. Let's get, choose one, give it a try, and then, see how it goes and maybe repeat once again. I will wish you all a great weekend, and I'll add a few things to the document later on. Probably not today because it's already a bit late here, but I promise next week, if you go back to the document, there will be some other information there. And I'd like once again to thank Disal very, very much for this opportunity. And thank you all for being here and sharing this time with me. It's been a great, great pleasure. Okay. Thank you all. Goodbye. Bye bye.